There's no doubt in my mind that Slay the Spire 2 is going to be Game of the Year, and that it did something that almost no other game can do, which is perfectly nailing a sequel. Oh, and not messing up early access, which, that shouldn't be a big deal, but in today's day and age, that's a big deal that they didn't mess up early access. So how did they nail the sequel? It sounds like a pretty simple concept. You take a game that's already doing well, and you make a sequel to it, and you print more money. And we've seen some companies, of course, be very successful with that, but you'd be surprised how many examples there are of people who are upset that either the game is too similar and thus boring, or it's too different and it's not what they want. Take Darkest Dungeon 2, for example. It was way different than the original, and I praised it for the risk they took on being different than the original, but I love the original more, and most people seem to feel that way. Now, exclusive to the Epic launcher, that whole fiasco aside, there's a lot of people who still prefer the first one over the second one because it's so different. Zelda 2, also a good example of this, although to be fair to its time, there wasn't an established way they make sequels, so they were trying something new, but they went from Zelda to side-scrolling RPG that was incredibly difficult, and while there are still some people who like it, the overwhelming majority of people say that this game is the black sheep of the family and everyone hates it. I don't know if Fallout 3 counts, but I do know that there are some die-hard Fallout fans who insist that Fallout 3, the reboot of the universe, the style change, ruined Fallout forever, and that was better in 1 and 2, Brotherhood of Steel, the tactics, all of that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I also haven't played the originals, so maybe I have too much bias there. On the other end of the spectrum, you have things like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, games that you really can't tell the difference between which one you're playing because they pump them out so quickly and they're all so similar that it's basically the same game, and people hate that too. So how do you strike a balance between it can't be so different that people hate it, but it also can't be so similar that people just say, well, this could have been a DLC, this could have been an expansion, why didn't they include this in the first game? I think people say that a lot about Left 4 Dead 2, that it was basically just a DLC for the first game. And Slay the Spire 2 found that perfect balance of it. They brought back familiar characters so you didn't lose all the stuff from the first game, but they also brought in new characters so it doesn't just feel like, oh, it's the same characters, the same things. They brought in new cards, new relics, new playstyles, a new multiplayer format. They added a lot of things that expands it beyond, like, this couldn't have just been added to the first game. They couldn't just add multiplayer into the first game. Well, unless you're the modders who added multiplayer to the first game, but that's a whole different conversation. But the graphics are similar but improved. The flow is similar but improved. It took everything that we loved about the first game and improved upon it and added upon it so it feels refreshing and new, but at least vaguely familiar enough that we know, hey, this is Slay the Spire, this is what I'm getting into, but all the new stuff is just so good. I especially appreciate that even though they added in new relics and new cards and new playstyles, they also took some of the builds and playstyles of the old game and said, okay, people liked this, how can we improve upon that? So it's not just, hey, forget about your old stuff, play with the new toys only. You could probably, and I'm not 100% certain on this, but you could probably build a deck in Slay the Spire 2 that you could build in Slay the Spire 1 and be just as successful, which I think is merits of a good game. How many games out there when they release new content say, forget about all the old stuff is garbage, let's power creep this so you have to use all the new stuff because it's so much more powerful, you have to do it, right? MOBAs are very, very, very bad about this where, hey, our first character, they have 1 dash and they've got 1 damaging skill and 1 buff and a cool ultimate that stuns you for a second. And then by the 50th champion they're adding into the game, it's like, well, this champion has 16 dashes, they have 14 stuns, they have 13 buffs, they have to be close to 2 different allies, but also close to 1 enemy, but they can't be close to 4 enemies or else it activates this debuff, and the power creep gets so out of control, and you don't feel out of control in this game. Again, it feels familiar enough that you're like, hey, I know what I'm doing, but there's enough new stuff to explore. It's not just like, oh, this could have just been a mod or an add-on to the first one. And the awesome part in saying all of that is going to be my point number 2, which is that they did early access right. I'm talking about all the new stuff they added, how good this looks. You could have sold this game to me as a complete game, and I don't think I would have been upset. I haven't run into any bugs, I haven't run into any crashes, I haven't run into any glitches. The only way you would know that this is an early access game is because there's a little bit of imbalance that of course will be patched out as they kind of find where each character needs to be and what needs to be buffed or debuffed. But the main progression through the epochs all have placeholder art, which I kind of like. It's kind of cute and endearing to me. So even if that wasn't placeholder art and they just use that permanently going forward, I think I'd be okay with that. But I love the fact that we already have basically a complete game and we know we're going to get more. We're going to get so much more as they add and add and add to this as it comes out early access, and it's only going to get better. How many early access games have we bought, and I think we're all guilty of this, where we get excited about a game, we buy it on the promises, and well, all this stuff that we promised will be in the game eventually. If you give us money now, we might be able to deliver on the game that we promised. That's awful. How many games have we purchased where they say, well, we ran out of money, so sorry, the game's not going to happen? Or maybe as bad, if not worse, is when they say, well, we didn't raise as much money in early access as we thought we would, so we're going to add some microtransactions to help supplement the development of the cost of the game, and then it just becomes a microtransaction paradise and the game never gets improved and all development is spent on adding things for money so they can make more money off the game and never release it. I can't think of any examples of games like that off the top of my head, so this will just be a placeholder image until I can think of an example. So why is this going to be Game of the Year? Admittedly, this year is going to be stacked. I mean, we've allegedly got Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out. I don't believe that. We had Resident Evil 9 come out that was pretty excellent. We've got the World of Warcraft expansion that a lot of people are hyped for. We've got Crimson Desert coming out. Allegedly, this is breaking news. You heard it here first. We're going to get a Fallout 3 remaster this year. So there's a lot of good games. The year is stacked. So why would I call this the Game of the Year already when it's just March? We have so many more games coming out. And really it just comes down to this is a timeless game that will be fun forever. In 5, 10, 15 years, will anyone be still talking about Resident Evil 9? Probably not. Crimson Desert? Maybe. More than likely, everyone will have moved on to the next big thing. The only exception to that, of course, would be Grand Theft Auto 6, because if Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out this year, then in 15 years, it will still be the most recent Grand Theft Auto to have released. But I could see myself in 10, 15 years still booting up Slay the Spire to run a match. The matches are quick, they're snappy, you can fit them in through different things. If you only got 5-10 minutes here or there, you can play it. And I really appreciate, I harp on this a lot, that you can just jump in and start playing. There's not so much story, so much video, so much exposition that's like, well, I've only got 20 minutes, so I can't really start playing anything because I don't want to watch 15 minutes of cutscenes. I want to play something. You can just click start a match and you start a match and off you go. You're playing within 10 seconds. And that is something that is priceless. That is something that people will keep coming back to time and time again, especially if they can find a way to cram it onto mobile, onto Switch, other things like that where you can take it on the go. It will only be more relevant, more playable. On top of all of those pros I've already mentioned, I haven't mentioned the game is only $25. Yes, it's early access, so you wouldn't expect to pay full price for an early access game. Well, we do, but we don't expect it. But for $25 for basically a complete game that is overhauling the original and better in every way, shape, and form, that's an incredible deal, especially at a time where people are talking about $70, $80 games that are disappointment, games that shut down in just a few weeks. This game has it all, and it's such an affordable price that is such a huge thing for them to release. That's probably also why I'm going to call it Game of the Year, is just the affordability. More people are going to be able to play it, which means more people will enjoy it, as compared to games that are $80, less people are able to afford. In fact, Pacopia, I heard, just maybe had a price raise on it because it was sold out everywhere, and so people were raising copy prices because they wanted to make more money off of it. I should have mentioned Pacopia as maybe a Game of the Year contender. I'm still not convinced it's a good game, but, time will tell on that. All of this to say, if you haven't gotten Slay the Spire 2 yet, you should invest the money into it. I think most people could find something that they can enjoy in here. The only people who I think wouldn't enjoy this game are either people who don't like roguelikes or people who don't like deck builders. Like, obviously, if those are two negatives for you, don't get the game. You're not going to enjoy it. But outside of that, there's just so much enjoyment to be had here for such a good price. There's so much to learn and so many different ways you can build the deck. And as you're playing, you unlock new things, which means you can play in different ways, so it feels refreshing every run. It is a darn near perfect gameplay loop. If you have the game already, tell me in the comments down below who your favorite character is. I think the Silent is my favorite, but I really want to love the new Necromancer character, but I do feel that they're a little underpowered, so maybe once they get a little bit of love, they'll do a little bit better. As always, thank you for watching and have a blessed day.